I haven't heard anything from Jason or Leo today, so I assume they're not gonna be here. Rick, could you do the roll call for us?
Sure. Leo Hickman. Here. Jerry Krugman.
Here.
Jason Cheddar. Not here. Richard Wyman. Here. Jed White.
Here.
And Steve Bellinger.
Yes.
And Mike is not here. I'm taking his place tonight. He's softball coach.
And I'm here.
And Jed White is here.
We have a pool.
Warm, ready to go.
And folks, join me, as I was saying.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, we don't have too much tonight, so we probably shouldn't be too long. Rose called down anyway. Clerk isn't here tonight due to the just the attitudes that have been around here in the board meetings for about the last couple of years. Asked to, we put a letter together, asked that I just read it into the record. Executive to the village board from Mike Erickson. Not gonna be at the board meeting tonight. Asked Deputy Clerk Lundell to take my place. He coaches a softball team. My softball team of 15-year-old girls are playing tonight. They were able to communicate, work together toward a common goal. Unlike this group of adults. My valuable times therefore better spent there. Have an interesting meeting.
Perhaps he should resign because I think his time is well spent here.
Anyway, he asked that I read it, so I did. The first thing we got here tonight is minutes from the May 3 board meeting. If everybody have a chance to read those, I'm going to make a motion to pass the minutes.
Motion to accept.
Motion to accept, Chad White, get a second on that. Are there any discussion?
No second, guys.
Looks like a couple of them still
You're
reading.
still reading.
You guys still reading that, David?
I was personally absent from this meeting, so I'll have to abstain from any voting. Personal knowledge of what did or did not happen at that meeting.
Hearing it, I'm gonna hear it. Try it. I'm sorry, Sherry, you say you're gonna abstain?
I said I'm going to abstain from any voting because I was absent at that meeting and I don't have any personal knowledge of what did or did not happen, so I can't document if there's any errors in the papers or not, so I'm abstaining.
Motion by Chad and second by Steve. All in favor of?
Aye.
We have 3 ayes and no nays. Thank you, gentlemen.
May I ask where the May 14th special meeting minutes are?
I don't have a copy of
Did the clerk not provide those for our viewing and approval today?
I didn't get anything. I just did this here. I was handed this stuff here to do this today.
Okay, well, then it means noted that the clerk failed to perform another one of his tasks. We don't have any minutes for the special meeting of May 14th.
Well, Maple.
Did you have any guests here that evening? Everybody needs to know about?
Just,
Never mind. We don't have any minutes for that. Now, if we can get some minutes for that, we'll certainly have them on this one.
The clerk should have had those ready to go and provided to us today.
Before we go to the second item here, the treasury report, I'm gonna bring up a lighter note. Resident Linda Flaker brought down a Bible from a former resident who used to live in town here. That, the man's name was Oliver Williams. They called him Pop Williams. He was born in 1855, and lived to be 92 years old, so that'd been 1949 when he passed away. Anyway, his granddaughter was 89 years old. She met with me a while back and wanted to give me his old Bible. This was issued to him when he was born, as he lived in the house that John Banks used to live in, be right across from Bill Merrill's residence there on that block where the playground equipment's located today. But she gave me that and a scrapbook with some articles, a newspaper article that he talked to a newspaper reporter back then. He has the handwritten article, and then the newspaper article reporter's rendition of it in the paper clipping. And then there's some pictures and stuff like that. A lot of those, we'll keep them here in the office, and if anybody wants to look at that, we could even make copies of most everything in the scrapbook for anybody to keep if they want to. I'm not real sure what to do with the Bible, but it's because just by flipping it open, pages want to break off and fall apart on it. But it's really cool. Linda and Scott, they've been attending Edgewood for about 20 years, so they looked at it for a little bit and took some pictures.
Of the middle pages with all the names and some of the history stuff that they've written on there, so that people can see it without opening up the Bible and
Okay.
everything.
But it is pretty neat, and, we have it here, if somebody wants to look at it and knows some different things that are cool about it, or could give us some information about, if you guys have any ideas on what would be a good thing to do with it, let us know, and just want to keep it in a safe place until we can keep it, and maybe we make a box for it or something, keep it out or whatever, I don't know, but it's kind of cool. You guys, welcome to come up here and take a look at it today, anytime, rather than passing it around, so.
I can give you a little bit of limelight on Pop Williams. He used to be the town marshal here. See, I moved in this town long time ago. I've been a resident here for back in the 40s when my dad moved in here. And the house that Bill Merrill's daughter lives in, Lester Sieferman lived there. He killed his wife and boy and tried to bury him in the basement. And Pop Williams was lived on the corner down there, and he was the town marshal. And he was just a nice old man when I was a kid. He never bothered anybody, but when he passed away, they had a front room corner window there, and they let everybody view his body after when he was in the casket. And I knowed that guy, and he was a pretty nice old man.
Thanks, Linda, for bringing that down, and, like I said, until we can come up with some real good ideas, we'll probably keep it locked up in one of the cases in there. Would you want to say something, Bill? Okay. And that's all that I had on that. Thanks for your time on that.
Before we go on to item number 2, the treasurer's report, I have some village business that we need to take care of. This showed up in my mailbox yesterday. I did not open it. It's addressed to me and the village with this address on it, but it was in my mailbox. I'm going to assume that that is the advertising bill for the yard sales, but for some reason it came to my home.
All right.
I also have a personal request of our treasurer here, and I have 2 FOIA requests for our FOIA officer here.
All righty. Thank you.
And then I would also like to make note that I have requested that there be an item on the agenda that has been omitted. I requested that we had some discussion about the boat ramp, village park, the littering, the curfew, the bonfires, the completely out of control situation that's going on at the boat ramp already this year, and for some reason it's not on the agenda. So I would still like to have some discussion on that.
Well,
And,
we'll get through the treasurer's report and
well, if you wanna put that for item number 3 below the treasurer's report, that would be fine.
we'll see about that. All right. Rick, were you ready for your treasurer's report?
Yeah, sure. What I've done here is I do this every year. I don't always lay it out here, but the situation for Cleveland for fiscal 2013, which began April 1, ends March 31, 2013. We do know now what the state's going to give us for approximately the next 10 years. Let's just say 5. The per capita amount for LGDF, MFT, and state use tax is $123 per capita. We've lost from 253 people in the census of 2000, where they recounted after the houses were torn out. Their census is now 188, lost 65 residents, so we lost some per capita calculations from the state. The state currently is $5,036.52 behind in LGDF payments to the village at this point. Okay, they didn't say when they're going to give it to us; they just said they're late. So that money is ours. They've been late for the last 2 or 3 years. So right now, this is what they're saying it is, and the per capita amount for LGDF, MFT, and state use is right in here. So what I did, I put that together to show the income. You'll see how the income for MFT has dropped significantly from a high of about 7,000. We're down to 4,500 for road taxes. So it's going to be difficult to spend 20,000 all at once here for a road. Sales taxes, that's nominal. It comes and goes. We don't know. Income tax is going to level out at 15,698. Probably not going to get any more than that because the per capita right now is not too bad. It goes up and down, so it could be less. That's about what we're going to end up getting for the next few years. It was at $23,000 just a couple of years ago because of the census was different. So during this time when there's less people in town here, we were collecting more. We saw more. I think Steve was during those years, and we knew we had more coming. The godsend year was the telecommunications tax. I think Steve helped work on that when Jim found it. It was Chad, I think, or something. I can't remember how we did that. We pushed it through Graham Lee. We had to apply for that. It started out at a couple $1,000s and it's now ballooned to a phenomenal $10,000 for the village income. It's probably going to stay that way. That's from all of your cell phones and all of your communications devices, internet, everything. There's a municipal tax in there that Jim caught it and we submitted it, but they weren't going to give it to us until we did it correctly. Okay, so we got it. It's coming in to replace them. It's really helped because when you see these numbers as it goes down, the property tax ain't going to change. 7,000. State use tax, it's about 3,000. We're going to take the fundraiser event that we normally say we made 4,000 or so. It's not there because there's no planning for that. So we're just going to put a goose egg on it because since there's been no planning. Interest income right now, very low. We used to enjoy a 5% interest rate. Now it's less than 0.9. Heading into the future CDs that's coming up here. We got August and another February. I don't expect it to be any higher, so I'm just kind of shooting the ballpark figure at a couple thousand there. Total estimated income for the village is 43,000. So what I did was took a look at expenses. Our police expenses with the new contract is, more than doubled, and everybody went along with that, I understand. So we've got an estimated $7,800 that we're going to pay for police. our administration pay, I just multiply it times normal with the taxes, comes out to 8,000. Office supplies, we don't know, may not be 2,000. Utilities could go up and down around 6,000. The attorney fees, I swear, I think that's caught us here because it's 3,000 and probably double that by the time the fiscal year is probably over with. Insurance is normal at 5,000. Your audit, mowing could be higher, we don't know. Your mosquito could be higher than what it was last year, I'm not sure. And this one here, down here, this was 5,000. What I did was just took the normal of what's happened for the last couple of years. And when I generated that into your appropriations line items, I just got tired of it, so I threw it all together to where we had miscellaneous when we made the appropriations ordinance back in that, what, 7 or 8 years ago, we redid it. And the appropriations ordinance was, shoot, what was it, Steve, 78,000 or something? And we were overspending.
74.
We were overspending, so we had to change it. So this is where you're at today. We'll never spend 140,000, So, your estimated expenses, you're looking at about 45,000. That's just an estimate, and you guys understand that I'm trying to put something together so we can understand where this fiscal year is headed and into the future. The income right now that I've added, I took MFT out of that, and MFT interest is like 38,000. So it doesn't take too much for the scholar to figure out we're gonna have a $7,000 deficit in the general fund by the end of March. And if you look at the treasury, or the finance report, shows that there's about 12,000 or something in there. So as we take a rolling estimate between here and then, you're probably gonna see a pretty good drop in the amount that's in the general fund. Now, but nothing I can do about that, unless you folks can figure out how to knock heads together to figure out how to change some of the spending, or find other incomes, which we worked on with one of them. The one was Rocky River. We did that to replace some of the grounds problems that we were seeing that was coming ahead of us. Only now there's no planning for that at this point. In the future, holds only one thing: we have to find some other income, or the deficit now. We have not seen the deficits, and me and Steve was in here. And now we're starting to see where there's going to be one, which we knew was coming. We didn't know what was going to happen when those houses got tore out of here and those people had left. And now we're starting to learn a little bit more about how the state pays us. There's not much more here else I can tell you, except that it appears to me, and you can take a look at whatever is happening in front of you from what happened last year, that we're going to be in a deficit of the general fund spending. That happens for 1 year. Maybe the state picks up 5,000, gives us back. Another 2 or 3 years, they're going to be getting into the CDs and start taking that out of their pay things. So just a heads up, that's what I'm looking at right now. I've looked at these numbers. I knock them around all the time, and just wanted to give you a heads up where we're at with all that today. And there's no fear here that we're all going to be in a bankruptcy court, but it does appear to me that we're heading into some problems financially for the village. So reducing some spending in different areas would be significant for the village at this point, and or trying to maybe resurrect the Rock the River or resurrect something else to make income.
Can I ask a question? The Rock the River fundraiser was never a fundraiser designated to raise funds for the general
No.
fund, though.
We couldn't, it wasn't allowed by state. So we
Right,
had to
so-
put it into a park fund and then we threw the park fund money, remember, Steve was there, we did that. We had to make a park fund, so we couldn't just make money for the general fund. So we had to make it for a reason. I think Gary was there too. We had to make it for a reason. So that's what the reason was.
But couldn't the park fund pick up the mowing, the mosquito?
Yeah, we did a lot of that over the last 7 or
Taken
8
out
years.
of the park fund.
Yeah, but not park fund, unless there's generated income to that, then it'll be the same thing, see what I mean?
Okay.
So we're gonna catch 22 here.
Didn't you mention about 4 or 5 times in the last few minutes that there's been no planning for Rock the River this year?
Nobody's done anything, we have.
Why is that?
I don't know.
I've personally requested for it to be put on the agenda since January 1 of this year, and I know another resident personally to you requested that you get it on the agenda so we can start doing some planning. Why has this never happened? Here we are in June, time for the Rock the River, and no planning has ever taken place, and this has been solely at your hand, Mayor. Why is that?
I don't know.
You don't know why you haven't done that?
Doesn't appear that the trustees have talked about wanting to do anything. You alone have requested to have it on the agenda.
Isn't that enough?
I've talked to the people that want to do something, the volunteers from the past,
Mhm.
and they've said that they don't feel that the ridicule that they've received over the last couple of years for what they've done, that they want to donate their time again. So they're not here. And I asked last month, but you weren't here last month, if anybody wanted to take the bull by the horns, anybody wanted to lead anything, and there was nothing at the board meeting last month. We did discuss it last month, but you weren't here, so.
Well, by May,
So-
by May, it's a little late to try
Well,
to do anything within a 30-day time period, but why hasn't something been done way prior to that? And I know, I was here in March and April, and I know there were at least one other resident who's present in the room right now that personally asked you, get this on the agenda, let's do something. There are residents who do wanna do something. You say the ones who did it in the past have been ridiculed in your opinion, and they don't wanna do it, but what about the people who did wanna do it? And the fact that we couldn't get this on the agenda in this room to start moving this together?
I don't know, Sherry.
You don't.
I haven't seen anything from you, Sherry, that indicates that you've wanted to do anything, so.
I've asked,
That's gonna
I
be-
have
That's gonna be my answer.
five
for
written
you.
requests saying, let's
Okay.
get this on the agenda, let's get something started with this. You refused to put it on the agenda.
Okay, I'm all finished with my answers to your questions on that, Sherry. If you wanna do something good around here, you can do something good anytime you want.
I do plenty of good things, Jim.
Okay,
I just organized the
Okay,
whole
Sherry.
cleanup week, and it went
Sherry.
really well.
thank you for your question.
How many dumpsters, can we just use the one?
2.
Yeah, too.
I guess you should ask the other guys down there, is there any interest in Rock the River event planning? I mean, it's not that hard to do. We got Aaron Brown that's done this for, what, now, 4 years now? What we've done is capture records of what's happened in the past, what worked, what didn't work, and then kept that, on the gate, so we know that if we did it, it would make it easier the next time around. And he has captured all that. I think you still have that.
Yes, I do.
And years ago, we didn't put it into the appropriations ordinance because we didn't feel we needed to, then we had to. They told us we needed, the accountant told us we had to. So what happens is you really start out with a very low amount and then just fire it all in there, come Monday, dump everything in the bank. And it always worked. It's just, you gotta make some plans to make sure that you get some things donated. That giant stage we had out there, that was donated by, Jason Shatter. Gary said he went out and tried to buy a stage for $2,000, so you gotta cut your losses before you even start thinking about it. And,
Well, thank you for your comments on it,
And it
too.
takes a substantial amount of time.
it's time, yeah, and the team, getting in there and driving it home.
All right, we don't have anything else on here.
Oh, I have one more thing here with,
On your finances?
yeah, with the Rock the River, there was, from time to time, in these positions, we always have, to take care of some rumor management. Right now, we have a rumor that we've heard that Rock the River funds were diverted to the Jim White farm. Now, I can tell you right now, Jim White doesn't touch any money, he doesn't touch anything. I've gotta do it all, because Mike gives it to me, and it's all my responsibility over these years I've took this job. And he hasn't got one dime for any of that. Rock the River was a sweat on our part to make sure that it was successful. So wherever those rumors are coming from, if any of you heard them or any of you have not heard them, any thefts or any diverted funds, nothing, I can tell you right now, has been diverted. We're trying to do everything we can to make sure things are right. It's a difficult process, especially with an event like the Rock the River. A lot of money flying around. My wife was back behind there making quilts and stuff for the raffles. Linda White was back to help selling them. Beth Erickson was in there. And we're pounding out the hours in there collecting, and then we'll count them on Sunday. But no funds have ever been diverted that I know of, even in the earlier years when we started, because we always wanted to make sure that it was a success. So just give me a heads up right now, I'm trying to do a little rumor management, I do it at, where I've been here for 40 years, I gotta do rumor management about me probably once a week. Okay, so I gotta do a rumor management today. I have not done anything different than what's happened in the past with diverting any funds to Mr. White's farm or any other thing, you know, because Steve knows how it works. Sometimes you buy something and you didn't sell it, then you gotta sit on it, like all t-shirts and things like that. So, that's basically all I have. I give you this finance report where we're at today. You'll notice at the bottom of that page here that we're beginning to void checks because of the no W-4. So I need these W-4s. I'm being held my feet to the fire on this.
Well, I
Writing
need,
checks.
speaking of the W-4s and voiding checks, you had no right to void that check. That check did not say it was uncashable for a certain period of time.
I
It
have to
didn't have
write
anything on
these.
it.
I wrote those in February. So it's June.
I haven't received any of them.
I
I've
know
not
it,
received a
but-
check since November.
I'm
Yeah,
getting
how do you
this.
expect them
Well-
to cash check if they don't get it?
Yeah, I can't cash them if I
Told
don't
them
have
not
my
to give
possession.
them to
Who
them.
told
I
you
get them
that?
for.
Who told you not to give me my checks?
It's coming from Office Express.
Office Express told you not to
Office
give me my
Express doesn't
checks.
have that authority either.
Wait a minute, I wanna get this
The
straight.
IRS, I got them, I'm telling you, this is what I'm doing. And they got a void on them, and I'm just making sure you're aware of it, right here.
Office Express has told you to not give me my checks. Who specifically Office Express told you that?
The IRS has been down here 3 times
No,
on
the
compliance
IRS
checks.
isn't in Office Express. You said Office Express told you not to give me my checks. I wanna know who at Office Express told you that, because I'm gonna go chat with them
This is
tomorrow.
probably the 10th time that you've
And I'm
been
going,
told, Sherry.
and I'm not done talking yet, and you're interrupting me. Okay, Mr. Lindell, I need contact phone numbers for you, because I do have a contact at the IRS and at the Illinois Department of Revenue, who both say they've never told anyone in Cleveland to not ever give us our checks.
And then you've
And they
talked
want
to the
a
people that
contact
had
phone
the
number. Be quiet, I'm talking.
meetings that we had.
They want a contact phone number for Mr. Lindell, so they can call you and explain to you how the system
Well,
works.
that'd
So-
be great.
Okay, what's
They
your
did.
number?
309-792-0465. My home phone.
0465.
They can call, they can leave a message, and I'll be glad to comply with whoever it is, and I'll call them back.
Because I
In the
am,
meantime, I'm-
I am completely in compliance, and you, and the village is holding my checks illegally and improperly. And again, Office Express, who at Office Express told you not to give me my checks?
This is the one we deal with, Trish,
Trish told you not to give me my checks. Okay.
and she said I had to write them out. So, I mean, come on, people. So, I don't know. I've never been through anything like this.
I know Rich filled his paperwork out, and he's getting checks just like he's supposed to.
I filled my paperwork out, and our clerk stood here and tore it up and threw it in a garbage can in front of everyone.
I don't remember that, but anyway.
While we're on the subject of fundraiser, so we don't hurt the mayor's reputation, and I think it's gone on a little late, I would like to make a motion that we just overlook it this year, and maybe somebody can
Take that bull by the
take
horns.
the bull by the horns next year and do some planning on it, and we can get it back underway. I think for this year, I make a motion that we don't have the fundraiser.
Well, there's nothing on there to
I
motion
second
for.
it.
Well, I don't think we have to worry about it. It's not, nobody's made any plans to do anything, so.
Well, just
Well,
let
it
it
needs to
lie,
be in
and
the
then
record.
next year we can start over and
I can get you a flyer on June 30th. There's gonna be a benefit up in Cordova for one of the folks that used to help with the fundraiser with Steve Arson's crew. His name is Carl Beer, B-E-I-R. Had his arm removed, got caught in a big press here a couple weeks ago, and his left hand mangled up pretty bad. So he lost his right hand below his elbow, and they're gonna have a fundraiser for him in Cordova Civic Center, I think, on June 30th. I've got some flyers, I think about bringing down today, just leave them here, but I'll bring some down, leave them here. I don't know how you guys can pick them up, or I can drop them off. I'll try to post them around, anyway.
That's nice to
Thank
hear,
you
because
very
that,
much.
that has nothing to do with the motion that
No.
Steve just made and that I seconded, that we need to
Well.
take a vote on.
Have you guys been told about motions that ain't on the agendas already? So anyway.
No, we're not gonna do that, Jimmy. This meeting is not over with yet, and we've not done anything about the signage or the enforcement of the littering law and so on, so this meeting is going to continue.
I'm all-
Steve made a motion, I seconded it, a vote needs to be taken on that. You're in the seat of the clerk, you need to take that vote for that. You need to write that motion down and take that vote.
Motion for Rock the River?
Yeah, not.
No,
having
not
it
Rock
this
the
year.
River, fundraiser. The Village of Cleveland not sponsor fundraisers for this year, and that we regroup and try to put together a really good
Well, I'll
fundraiser.
keep it on the record right here, we'll take a look at it, but legally speaking, not on the agenda.
I'm gonna give you a couple more minutes before I go, if you wanna talk about some problems that are down at the boat ramp.
You can go if you want to, Jimmy, we don't care. These are gonna be discussed. You omitted it, purposely omitted it from the agenda. We're gonna continue the conversation and we're.
This is the first that I've heard about it.
No,
Sheriff
there was
Feldman,
email sent out to you, the clerk, and the Village of Cleveland.
I didn't look at my email
And-
over the last 2 weeks.
Well, the Village of Cleveland has, and the clerk
And
has.
Cleveland has one. But
That should have been,
I've
that was
asked you
carbon
guys,
copied to
you know
you,
what?
to them.
You know what, Sherry, I've asked you for 1 year and 1 month now. I've asked all you guys to talk to me, call me, just real simple. Hey, Jim, we're gonna do this, or we need that, or could you do this? With the ear and the phone, or come and see me, but for a year now, we still going through this. We don't have to talk to you, Mayor. We are not going to talk to you. You can't force us to talk to you, Mayor. We don't have to talk to you. But we can demand things that we want here and there. And if I don't know that you wanted something on the agenda, that's hard for me to put it on the agenda. You know, a little bit of simple communication make things so much easier. I don't know how to tell you.
Sending written documentation is the
I
best
told you you had
way
a
to
couple
do
more
it.
minutes if you had wanted to make some, talking about some problems down at the boat ramp.
And then you reacting over it. Well, we have to go back to this motion. This motion is on the table, it's been seconded, and we're going to take a vote on it. So the motion
What all you
is,
want, I ain't writing
the
it down.
motion is for the village to not sponsor any fundraisers for.
Excuse me for a second.
2012.
Excuse me for a second, Ms.
Correct.
Krogman, while you're babbling,
I'm not babbling, I'm taking care of village business.
well, stuff that isn't on the agendas and non-communication about things. Mr. Brown,
I actually just have one simple question, and just being a little confused. The motion on the floor is not to have any fundraisers in Cleveland from now until the end of the year, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Sponsored by the
Knowing you're
village.
going into a deficit of money that's not there, you guys aren't gonna try in the next 6 months to make up any of it?
That's what you're saying. We just heard from the treasurer that we're gonna
Until-
raise money,
until we-
but you wanna make a motion to not.
I'm just
write
a simple question as
I
an
just want to
observer.
ask you, where are you gonna get the money to fund it? That's what I'm
I'm
asking.
not asking to fund anything. I have not asked to fund anything.
You wanna have a
The
fundraiser.
village.
No, I don't wanna have a
loses
fundraiser.
money. The village loses money on your fundraiser.
I don't want a fundraiser.
Everybody, including you and the
Okay.
mayor,
You,
want
I'm
to
sitting,
have a
no,
fundraiser.
no, excuse me, I have never asked for this fundraiser.
Don't raise your
I'm the
voice
one
in
that's
this room,
done
or
with
you need to
it.
leave. You don't need to be yelling, we're not gonna put up with that. Either talk civilly or you leave the room.
I tried to get.
I'm answering the question.
When Dan Brown approached the board about the rock.
Who
I
needs
tried
to
to
tell
ask for
somebody
a
to
special
down?
meeting be set up where we could discuss it, no, okay.
Yeah.
You didn't want to react on it,
Anybody should
nobody
be,
wanted to react
should
on
be
it.
heard.
Well, as far as it goes with that fundraiser that nobody's wanting to react on, when Dan got done talking about it, I gave up my phone number for you guys to have a meeting with, so we can sit down and discuss it.
The one on this end of the table.
If everybody would like to be quiet, let Aaron go ahead and talk. We'll let Aaron talk, but we can't hear him over all of you.
All I said is the fundraiser was brought up last week by Dan. I gave out my phone number so that I could be, last month,
Oh, last month.
after the meeting, I gave up my phone number so that I could sit down with whoever wanted to talk to it off the board, sit down and show you where we were at and how we could go about if you guys wanted to do this. If the board wanted to do it, left it at that.
Aaron, the board has always wanted to do this. The mayor would not put it on the agenda so that we could do it.
Sherry,
I tried
you know
to
what?
request a
Very,
special
very well
meeting.
possibly could be. I don't know.
Well,
I'm just
give me
saying,
your
I
email address
offered.
and I'll gladly forward you all the emails over all the months that I've sent to the mayor requesting that this get on the agenda so we can start working.
My email is
cohesively on it.
ajbrown72@gmail.com.
ajbrown72@gmail.
Aaron, the problem is, this doesn't make us any money. It costs us money to put that event.
Where are you getting that?
What I'm saying though, it's not even that event.
You bring money in, but general funds pays all the bills.
Steve, I'm not even
But they
talking
get the
about
money
that
back,
fundraiser.
though.
That wasn't my
No, they
What
don't.
you
question.
say?
You don't.
Your police protection and porta potties have come out of the general fund since day
Your
one.
tax money is what
It's cost
pays
you like
for that.
$1,700 a year out of general fund to put this on.
Or more.
More than that.
That's just police protection and
Aaron,
porta potty.
if
That ain't
you
counting
want-
other things that are paid out of
To
general,
work
or are
and
not
put
supposed to
together
be.
A fundraiser.
None of
I
that's
don't care what
supposed to
we
be paid
call
out
it.
of general fund.
Get that man to put it on the
That's
agenda.
all supposed to come out of your
And we
park
can start
fund.
talking about it again.
Well, and if I had some ideas, I would be more than happy to present them. But what's the use in presenting them if you guys are making a motion not to do anything for 6 months?
Well, it's
Motions
already
can be-
June. It's
Yeah.
already June, Aaron.
I understand that.
Can I say
And
something?
you can get
Lillian,
something
Why
done.
don't you?
Does anybody in this room remember these guys saying a lot of the residents did not want any more Rock the Rivers down here?
No.
I remember one
Yes, I do.
sitting down on this end of the
Yes,
table.
sir.
That's the water, it's, yeah.
I'm glad you remember.
You said you didn't want
Yep.
it.
So?
You said residents down here do not want it.
Yeah. But then we wanna turn it around today, now it's a different story today, that's a different story
And you give
tomorrow.
me a Bible and I'll
That is
swear
not-
on it.
That is not what I said either. I said for every one of you that want to put this on, I can, and pay for it out of general fund, I'll find 2 that will not.
That's not what you
No,
said.
that was not what was
No.
said, Rich.
No.
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 I tell you what, you
You
listen to
said-
her, cause she knows what you said.
Okay, fine.
And she ain't gonna lie, I'll tell you that one
It
thing.
was
If that's
said
what I said, then
the
that's fine too. And I also
residents do
requested a
not
meeting
want any
for us to
more
put
Rock the
together
Rivers down
to
here.
discuss that.
Yes.
I did,
Yes.
and you were here.
I was here.
Dan was here. I tried to get everybody to put a special meeting together. Nobody wanted to do it.
The mayor said if you wanted to, you could, but nobody wanted to do it.
When was that? Last month? When
That was last month.
Okay, I wasn't here, so I can't speak of any of that.
This was
Yeah, no, no.
said a few months back.
I think he was here last month. It was a month.
That was just my question. I didn't mean to start an argument with anybody, and I apologize if I raised my voice. Understand, it was just a general, simple question for my own understanding.
Aaron, another thing you need to understand is, we've not seen the true financials or the checkbooks or anything else to know if these numbers are accurate. Just because somebody prints something on a piece of paper doesn't mean it's right. I haven't seen the checkbooks, we haven't seen the check statements, the deposit slips to know, and we already know that the park fund doesn't have any money in it to support the startup money it takes to start a fundraiser. So everybody needed to put their heads together and figure out a way to start that up, to do some kind of fundraiser.
Right.
Because we're not going to allow it to continue to be taken out of the general fund.
Right, no, and once again, I,
These things require everybody to work together, and it requires that it gets put on one of these damn agendas, that the mayor gets it put on here, because he is the only person allegedly that can do this.
and I agree with you,
Or if
everybody.
you wanna do it as a special meeting, then you or whoever else wants to do this with us, because I'm not saying that there's a trustee on this board that does not want to do the fundraiser, or did not want to do the Rock the River. What we don't want is a bunch of private secret meetings going on, that nobody knows what's going on, and money getting spent when we're liable, we're the checks and balances and liable for that money coming and going. And if we don't know what's coming and going, it's a really scary position to be in.
And I understand that, but I just go back to my original question, is not all fundraisers have to have money up front. There are multitudes of fundraisers that can happen. My question was, are you guys voting right now, so I know whether to continue to look as a non-citizen, because I believe in this community, for options to bring you, or are you voting to do no fundraisers? That's my question.
You're not gonna have a Mellapalooza. That's for damn.
I didn't put on Mellapalooza.
Yeah, they're not
So-
gonna do that.
That was not part of that.
So either you've not communicated at all with Mr. Lindell, or his statement that there has been no planning towards this is a lie, because you're just here saying that you've done some planning.
No,
You're doing some
no.
background work,
What-
you're doing some
No,
investigation.
what I
That's
said is I could bring
towards
things forward.
some kind of a fundraiser.
Being a JC, I come across fundraisers all the time. So I can present something and look for something for you now that I know that you have a negative that you're looking at by the end of the year. But why do I want to look if the board is not going to work together and vote not to do any fundraiser?
Well, the board didn't know until you just spoke up now that you want to raise money for.
Just out of curiosity, and this is just with Robert's rules.
Hey.
Why would you make a vote in the
Aaron,
negative?
Let's close it up right there. Your conversation with Sherry, Sherry's
Sorry.
conversation with Aaron I'm gonna make a statement. Since all of the statements that Sherry has made about has never seen no reports, that's, I don't know whether to say that Sherry's incorrect or that that's a flat lie, but I'm gonna say one or the other. Because every month, every trustee gets a finance report. Every time there's been a fundraiser, there's a finance report. There's dollars all reported and recorded on the finance report on everything that was spent. It always has been from the first fundraiser to the last fundraiser. And if anybody's gonna say something different about that, say it now.
I'm gonna say something.
I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to everybody else, let me finish.
I am.
Sherry Krogman, I'm gonna tell you, let me finish. I'm getting a little bit tired of listening to you.
Either, I don't care what you're
I
tired of
don't,
doing.
I'm gonna finish my sentence. Your statement about not having any information is very incorrect, or it's a lie.
It's not.
You have had every bit of information that everybody else has had. Before you were a board member, you and Mr. Waterman FOIA requested about 1,500 pages of information every meeting that we had for 6 years. Every minute, every finance report, every MFT report, the bank statements, the ledgers. You got copies of everything for 6 years.
No, I did
Yes.
not. You
Well,
are a
together you
liar
did.
now. I'm still fighting for that stuff.
Well, you
And right
received it
now,
all.
ask Mr. Lindell what I just handed him just now.
I don't know, I
Is
didn't
my
read it.
Yeah.
personal
But anyway,
request to
I'm-
view the checkbooks.
I'm
Because
trying-
I've never seen them.
Well, you're probably not doing it.
Really, I'm not going to?
Probably not.
I'm not going to see the
I
checkbooks
can't
of the
deal with you.
finances.
It's impossible to deal with you.
you have all been
Different
asked to
personality.
meet with Mr. Lundell to
It's
talk about
possible.
anything. You can be given anything, you look at anything. Oh, no, we wanna
Motion to
be.
close.
Yeah, there we go, that's what I wanna hear, Steve.
Man,
Thank you. Man, that was a good one.
we should have fired that guy. We should have fired that guy. He should have carried her out.